Athletes and fans around the world, welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. It is the biggest week in our sport. We couldn't be any more excited to be with you. I'm Tim Wilkins, joined by our around the world judge, Tarek Elgindi.
Thank you. Great to be here. Love the jacket. Great to be here. Love the Louis Vuitton pajamas. Let's do this.
PJs, that's you, the one and only real deal legend,
doing, man?
Legend of the sport,
I love
Chris
the jacket.
Thank you.
I love that.
It's felt. Well,
You're
it is
going to have
now.
to bring that. Let me feel it.
I'll see if they have that in your size.
All right. I like that. I like that.
Tarek has been all over the world. You've been training your guys, getting them ready for the big week.
Getting ready. Out here is hot and ready for some action in Las Vegas. Let's go.
Bodybuilding action.
Yes.
Okay.
Bodybuilding action.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Man's got a lot of reputation.
Yeah.
I've been resting my voice because this is one of the biggest weeks for me in the sport. I MC the amateur Olympia leading up to the pay-per-view nights, both Friday and Saturday, and all other things that you and I and Chris have going on during the day with Primetime Muscle and podcasts.
Yeah, it's the Super Bowl. Dan Solomon said it very wisely. It is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. That's when the entire industry comes together. And listen, it's not only about the competition, but you get to see friends that you haven't seen the entire year. Listen, C-Bum and Ramon, they're friends. They text each other. But this is the time they actually meet and they have a good time at check-ins, right? Remember last year they grabbed each other and they wrestle, Hadi and Derek and Nick Walker, they're meeting at check-ins. People are walking down the aisles and talking to each other and saying, hey, man, I haven't seen you in years. This is a big party.
And one of the other biggest parties at the Expo that is bigger and better than ever this year is not only seeing today's stars that you are huge fans of, but the OGs, and Chris gets to see all his boys from the day.
Yes, like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding is right there in Las Vegas. And, everyone's going to be there. I can't wait to see all the boys.
We're hoping to have all the past Mr. Olympias with us. We're hoping for a lot of spectacular things throughout the weekend and things the fans will never get to see. It's like a comet. There's only going to be 160th Olympia, and this is it right here. So let's get down to business. Let's talk about what's going on with the guys that will be there in the Open. There are a few big events, and one of those big events blew our minds a couple years ago. Chinadu Obiekia, the one and only.
Oh, I like that.
I broke
that down. Broke it
Tim
down.
Wilkins. Oh, my goodness.
Down.
Andrew Jacked.
Broke it down.
Andrew Jacked blew our minds a couple years ago. Size, shape, conditioning, and then, of course, he's got to show off and take that into a split.
He brought it.
He brought it, dropped it to the stage like it was hot.
Like it was hot.
And as much as we had to go out and mop up the protan off that stage, we had to squeegee half the audience because people were excited.
Oh, yes.
So
for sure.
He has improved. If that's possible, we said, well, he needs a little size. Tarek?
Tim, there was a lot of comparisons between him and Samson Dauda in a couple years ago. They were both coming up, but Samson Dauda filled up faster than Andrew Jacked. And then Andrew Jacked, and I know Coach Psycho Lewis, he's a great friend of mine, but I know he was mad dogging me at the LA Fit Expo because I said something. I said Samson Dauda took the air out of Andrew Jack's sail because he filled up fast, right? And now everybody's talking about Samson Dauda, and they kind of forgotten about how great this guy is. Well, Psycho Lewis, I love you, my friend, and I got to give credit. Andrew Jacked has now filled up, and that's what we needed. We knew he was athletic. We knew he had the genetics. We knew he had some great body parts. But Chris and I, when we saw him for the first time, we said he's going to need more hamstrings. He's going to have to fill up in certain areas to be that guy that we can say he can be Mr. Olympia. And this past year in Texas was the first time that I said Andrew Jack can be Mr. Olympia. He can be Mr. Olympia. He can win this year, okay? He can beat guys like Samson Dauda, like Hadi, Nick Walker, and Derek. But we needed to see him fill up the frame, and he did it in Texas.
What was he? Anyone remember the exact number? Was it 304 or 307? He got on with, it started with a 3.
It was around 300 or a shade under 300.
Was it just a shade under? I thought he was
Shade
just
under
a
300.
shade over
They say-
300.
but when you're that close, you just say 300. That's all
Yeah.
you say. So this guy, I mean, he's like the unicorn of bodybuilding. I mean, he's got the length. I mean, no one has that type of height with that mass, with those cuts, with those abs, with that body of his is like nothing short of hotties. I mean, got that density, you know, the striations coming up in the chest, improved the back, improved the legs, improved the arms. I think one of the reasons why he wasn't improving is because he was doing show after show, you know, oh, there's another show to do. Oh, get back into prep. Another show to do, get back into prep. And that's not allowing you to get the size. You know, I was doing 10 shows a year and I was competing, and people were saying, oh, but, you know, he's not peaked out for this show. I mean, you're doing too many shows to actually peak that hard. So he took an off season that it was much needed for him, came back with a bigger and better package. And I was thinking that, you know, his abs wasn't going to be as crisp as they was before, but that was just that particular photo. When I saw it later on, with him actually posing in the video, the abs were there, the size was there, and there's a new challenger for the title.
So, definitely in your top 5. I mean, you can't make too many.
I don't make predictions. I make decisions, and I got to deal with the consequences. And like I said, last year, Derek Lunsford was the Mr. Olympia. I love the Iranian friends. I love the Iranian fans. They're all my friends, but they can go on my social media and write as much as they want. Part of my job is to make a decision and live with the consequences. But there's a lot of speculation. Prior to the Texas performance, I don't think a lot of people had Andrew Jack on the map to win the Olympia. After his performance, yes. And I got to go back to what Chris said. We see a lot of times guys adding size and then losing the conditioning. You know, the midsection is blown. Now they don't look good, and it's over. This did not happen to Andrew Jack, and I got to give credit to Chris Aceto and Psycho Lewis. They did it right. He grew size, but he didn't lose his trademark cuts on the chest. He didn't lose his trademark genetics and shape. I think he's now in the conversation to win the Mr. Olympia. Any competitor can win the Mr. Olympia. The guy who placed last year can win. But I think right now Andrew Jack is a potential.
You're both historians of this. Let's go to Ronnie Coleman. Didn't the year before he won, wasn't he 7th or 9th?
9th place. But Chris and I know that if you were truly a bodybuilding fan and you saw that Ronnie Coleman, for the first time in his life, beat Kevin Levrone at the Russian Grand Prix. He had never done that. So if you were truly a bodybuilding fan, you were like, whoa, what's happening with Coleman?
Yes.
He just beat Kevin Levrone in Russia.
Yes.
Maybe he can do something at the Olympia.
Yeah, so that particular Grand Prix, there was 5 shows before that. So Kevin won every show. I was second to a few. We went to Finland, we went to Russia, we went to France, we went to England. All these places was, you know, winning. And he was still diced. He was still good at that show. But Ronnie was creeping up. And then, you know, that's that famous meeting that they had in the room when they had a couple drinks together that night. Ronnie showed up the next morning, drier than ever, harder than ever, and beat all of us.
Can you do the voice?
Well, he could do it.
I was drinking some vodka. It pulled all the water out of my skin. I woke up looking better than I did last week. Before I knew it, I was Mr. Olympia.
In the whole wide world, everyone in the whole
Russia. I
wide
never been to Russia
world.
before. Texas, I thought Texas would be, there's a Russia, Texas. I didn't know that.
Chris, I didn't complain.
I didn't complain. 1996, when I took last. I didn't complain. In 1992, when I took last. I didn't complain when I took last in 1993. Was I even in that show? Yeah, I was in that show. I had the best barbecue sauce in the whole wide world in my backpack, and I took that and I ate it all up. That's what I did.
So the point is, why complain?
Why complain?
Why complain?
So, guys, the moral of the story here is we've been watching Andrew Jacked and his rise to power and fame and looking the way he needs to look. You say he's an option. What do you say?
I mean, I think it's going to be even harder. And I talked to Chris Aceto before the show, and I was like, what are we going to see out of Andrew Jack? He said he's going to be either the 8th wonder of the world or the 8th placer in the world. It's going to be one of the two, but it's going to be something bigger and different. That's what he was saying.
Well, I'm glad I mentioned his real name before, because being born with a name like Andrew Jacked makes you a shoo-in for Mr. Olympia. Guys, it's going to be one heck of a show. You're not going to want to miss it. OlympiaProductions.com. Get that pay-per-view if you're not going to be there in person. But let me do this. Let's continue moving on to our next category, somewhere else where someone holds a title and has a lot of people vying for it. When we come back on Primetime Muscle. We're back, and it's Olympia week, and we're talking about another division that's got a title holder in it right now that is a big, big source of popularity. Ryan Terry, Mr. Men's Physique, the Men's Physique Olympia. This segment, Chris, was obviously titled and written by Tarek, who knows my affinity for Mr. Terry. Ryan Terry.
That's the premise.
In the premise, it doesn't say the champ. Over there in my monitor that you fine folks can't see, it says, Ryan Terry, who benefits from this guy?
You.
Me? You're damn right I do. I hate to you're damn right I do. You need Ryan Terry on that wall. You can't handle Corey. But so Tarek, let me ask you, who benefits from having Ryan Terry there?
Lee Bilal, Diogo Montenegro, Edivan Palmeira,
Vitor Chavez?
Vitor Chavez. I'll tell you who doesn't benefit is some of the bigger guys.
Aaron Banks?
Aaron Banks still, because he's streamlined.
Brandon Hendrickson?
He doesn't.
He's not there.
Jeremy Buendia doesn't. So some of these shorter, denser guys, they don't benefit with the fact that this aesthetically pleasing, streamlined guy, right? If you put him right next to Jeremy Buendia, Jeremy has more of a density. He's more of a longer, streamlined. Aaron Banks, Ryan Terry, some of the guys. I actually think that Vitor Chavez doesn't benefit because he's shorter and he's got tons of density.
Yeah.
Go to Olympia TV and watch the Tim Wilkins experience with Vitor Chavez.
Cannonball delts, this guy.
But so he brings the streamlined, aesthetically pleasing, and again, when you talk about men's physique, the first thing you see is chest and abs, right?
In theory.
You know, a lot of men's physique guys come up to me and they go, well, what do you think about my arms? I'm like, dude, the first thing we're looking at is your chest and your abs.
Yes.
Unless your arms are extremely huge, right?
They're not going to matter.
Well, I'm not going to be staring at him. And what does he have that's impressive? He's got probably the best set of abs in the history of the men's physique category. I put him and Andre Ferguson. I mean, his abs are so good that I got heterosexual male friends just, dreaming about him.
Go on.
And now he's got the back separation, which was something he didn't have. And so he's pretty complete. But guys that are streamlined, that we've been saying, hey, you don't have a lot of muscle, you're not as big, now they benefit with the fact that this is the champ.
The champ is motivated by his family, his kids, his wife. I just don't know which Ryan Terry is going to show up. Which one's going to show up? I mean, because you see here, We got the eyebrows is different. Check out the bush. The bush eyebrow. This one, he was real intense. And then we got Exhibit A, Exhibit B. Exhibit B, the more trimmed eyebrows. What do you think?
I think you're out of your mind. I think people think you're on drugs. That's what I think.
So, but his abs is second to none. That's his trademark. I mean, he's been in shape far out. You know, I spoke to him a couple times and, you know, leading up to the show. And he is hungry for this. He wants to prove to everyone that he is here to stay, and he's going to get major, major, major kudos this year because he's going to bring the best package ever.
Well, I don't know if I should recuse myself for this segment or not, but I didn't even look at his eyebrows here. This is an interesting take right here, guys, because as a judge, you guys have your judges meeting at the end of every year and say, all right, how is the criteria going to change or not change to have the ideal physique for each class, right? And one of the things that I think he brings, it's an amazing amount of fullness and this hardness within the obliques and the abs and the shoulders without being so diced that you've lost the softness of the class.
Do you think he was a little deterred? Is that a good word?
Perturbed?
Perturbed by his challenger at the New York Pro, telling him, look at these intercrossal, look at these obliques.
Well, Ali Bilal is a very competitive guy. He won Pittsburgh and he won New York, defeating Vitor Chavez, who's a tremendous competitor. And he let Ryan Terry know, he goes, I'm more determined than him, okay? So, hey, listen, those are fighting words when you tell the champ that, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You tell me that, you better be ready for a war. You know that full well. Now, the problem for Ali Bilal is this. Brother, you're talking about somebody that possibly has better abs than you and better obliques than you, okay? Now, I judged Ali Bilal a few times. He's formidable. In New York, he looked insane. Credit to George Farah.
Was that the best he ever looked in New York?
Best he ever looked, because I put him in third place in India. In India, I went to judge him. I put him in third place. I got 100,000 messages from Afghani fans. Okay,
There's 100,000 people in Afghanistan with the internet?
it's my life, guys. It's just my life. No matter where I go, I find out there's somebody from another country that didn't win, and I get introduced to that culture.
You know what I like, though? Tarek is a unifier. He gets the whole world hating him across everybody.
Yeah, I managed to do that. Well, Ali Bilal, when he placed third in India, his problem was that his back was holding water. That used to be Ryan Terry's problem. He didn't have back separation. Both of them have improved. So the criteria has not changed. You know, these guys could not have beaten Aaron Banks before because Aaron Banks had better back than them. Now they equaled Aaron Banks from the back. The key question is, Aaron Banks, do you have the abs that Ryan Terry and Ali Bilal have? Again, people often think that judging is easy. Andrea Shaw lost to Angela Yo because of conditioning. No, Angela Yo improved. Aaron Banks lost to Ryan Terry. Oh, Aaron Banks is not 100%. Maybe not. Maybe he's 100%, but this competitor who had amazing abs has beaten Aaron Banks from the front for the past 5 years, finally has equaled Aaron Banks from the back.
And I think Aaron Banks, coming from Dubai, the Dubai Pro, I mean, he's much improved. I mean, I think he's got something to say about all of this.
Nobody would be surprised if Aaron Banks regains his title. But nobody will be surprised if this guy retains his title. The key question is this: who benefits from Ryan Terry? And I think the number one guy that benefits from Ryan Terry is Ali Bilal.
Ali Bilal. Now, I made a note of that, and I pulled up all the guys. A couple years ago, I mentioned a guy named Daniel Amons, who, to the 3 shows he qualified for the Olympia at and didn't get to make the Olympia, had some stuff he had to work with. He brought that same level of conditioning that Ali Bilal brought. Actually, Ali Bilal stepped it up just a touch. I've said for the past few months that I think Ali is the trouble spot for Ryan this year.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, but, you know, like I said, you know, this is going to be one of the biggest battles, I think. I mean, think about it. Like the guys are in the show. There's a few guys not in the show that was there before, but these guys in the show this year, the whole top 4 and 5, I'm expecting to be top notch and at their best. I mean, we could go back and get Tarek's photo from, what was that show when you did the, you were the first Physique guy. What was that? What was that?
I was with Muscle Tech in 2008, 2009. I signed a contract. Thank you, Iovate Health Fitness. I actually was in the magazines before the men's physique category started.
That's right.
In my time, being on the magazine, you made it, right?
And I remember you in the magazine.
You know, so
I got
people
that.
think, you know, the judges, they've been, you know, out of shape for the rest of 25 years. We were in shape. At one point in our lives, we were all in shape.
You should have
but
saw
then
me.
We started getting 150,000 feedbacks, traveling to Afghanistan, India, Korea, okay, eating whatever we can at airports. You would be fat too.
Well, Tarek, and I'm going to come to your defense. Your pictures of when you were in shape compared to the
Show
other
me
judges.
pictures. Can you B-roll some of my pictures? B-roll some of my pictures. B-roll.
He
Put
was
the
the man before the man.
Wait, put the B-roll.
I got to give this to Tarek as opposed to a lot of the other judges. Your before pictures from when you were in shape are in color. Some of those are not only in black and white. I've had a couple show me go, that's a stone etching. Who were you competing against? The Flintstones? Dear God, how old are you? Am I right? Some of these
Absolutely. And in my time, when I was in the magazines, okay, we did not have filters. We did not have Photoshop and photo this. Some of you guys say I'm in shape. We all know you're using some frozen Elsa and Anna filter. Okay?
There's a dad.
I'm in shape.
All right. We have a very special guest when we come back. I can't wait to see this year's Physique Olympia. But when we come back on Primetime Muscle, we'll be meeting with a very, very famous coach. All right, we're back. And Olympia week, we could find no better person to have with us. Jamie DeBernard from Fit Body Fusion. You have, we have the Olympia Amateur, the few days before the big show. You have people all over those categories, amateur and pro.
Yes, we're really excited for this year's Olympia. It's a special one, so we can't wait.
So you have a rich history with the sport. You were just telling me before we got on air about turning pro with Wendy Fortino,
I did.
who is qualified for this year's Olympia. We're
Yes.
very excited. Tell us how kind of you rose, and then the kind of the creation of Fit Body Fusion, which is got to be the biggest team right now of any coaching group.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in love with bodybuilding my whole life. I mean, truly, high school, you know, I was watching the women's bodybuilders and just thinking, wow, that's amazing. I want to look like that. I want to do that. Life took me so many different areas, and by the time I really got serious about competing, I was 38-ish. So at the time I thought, I'm probably too old to make this into much, but I just wanted to do it, and ended up doing really well and turning pro at the USA's in 2011 and qualified for the Olympia at my second pro show. So I did the Olympia that year and the following year, and I just love it. I love the people, I love the sport, I love the challenge, all of it.
So now you love, and I'm a coach as well, but not for bodybuilding. I love seeing the people that I foster and nurture and encourage succeed.
Yes.
You have, tell us about the team, and you've created an interesting model that I don't know that really exists anywhere else.
Right, well, when I started coaching, one of the things that was really important to me is I didn't want to be a coach that had so many athletes that I wasn't able to really give them my full effort and attention. So I thought about how can I grow this in a way that still allows everybody to feel fully supported, and I'm not the only one doing it. So I started really mentoring and building coaches to work with me, and it's just flourished. We have about 30 coaches now, and we usually range from 1,500 to 2,000 athletes on the team at a time. Wow. So, I mean, it's been amazing, and a lot of what we do is really geared around continuing education. We do office hours where, we bring everybody on. They can discuss different athletes, what they're doing with them, what could they do better. After action reviews after each show to talk about what went wrong, what went right, how do we, continue. So I feel like it's really created a situation where we're all growing together. I'm learning from them, they're learning from me. We just have some amazing, amazing folks on board.
Well, one of the things that I love about Jamie DeBernard is she has tremendous experience, but I've noticed that her competitors have become mentally stronger with her, under her guidance. And I think a lot of bodybuilding is how you control your mind, how you control your decisions, how you take a hard loss, right? And every time I see a competitor that comes from Fit Body Fusion, they have the guidance of Jamie DeBernard, who has tremendous experience. And I think that's the number one attribute of a great coach, is to have experience. When people come up to me as a judge and they say, Tarek, recommend me a coach, the first thing I think to myself is, does that person have the experience to not only guide this competitor physically, but also mentally? And Jamie DeBernard is truly one of the best in the world when it comes to that.
So when you have some competitors, some are pros, some are amateur. So what are you looking for in someone taking them on? Like, say, okay, this person came up to me at the show. They're interested in my organization. Where do you go from there? Where do you go?
Well, for me, it's really matching them with the right coach on our team. So it kind of depends, like what level are they at, what kind of guidance do they need. Where are they located? I mean, if they're a brand new competitor and they're in a certain region of the country, maybe I'm going to find one of the coaches that I know could be there physically with them and make sure that they're kind of walking them through and hand-holding them through those first shows that they're doing. So, if they're a more advanced competitor and, they're working towards the Olympia, or maybe they've turned pro, now they're looking to kind of, take it to the next level, then, I might, give them some other guidance. But it's really kind of getting to know their personality. Everyone's different, and you know this too, is like some people need that kind of hard driving sort of coaching, right, and some people need a little bit more of the encouraging hand-holding. And then those are the kind of questions I ask people, like, what do you need to be successful? It's the mental piece that Tarek was talking about, but that's different for each person. So I think, a lot of our job is to figure out what does that person need in that moment.
I'm laughing because I can't think of a single coach that's ever asked that. What do you need? Here's your diet, here's your workout, call me Tuesday, call me Friday, call me every 2 weeks. There's no, how much interaction do you need? How hard do you need me to be? How do we just to give you all this and back up? That's a really, and is this one of those things that you put across all your coaches?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's a big part. It's funny because, we always talk about how we don't measure our success off of what the top person did or the person who won. We measure our success off of what the person who didn't place as well, what was their experience like? Did we support them? Did we help them? How are we helping them grow? Because, this is a sport of progression. I know a lot of times people look at the people at the top and they're like, I want to be there. Well, yes, but there's a process to that. There's steps along the way. And so, having that support throughout so that you don't give up and get frustrated when things don't go your way, kind of what you were just talking about. And I feel like as coaches, that's a big part of our job.
So as you develop this mindset with the business, with the different categories, the different people, was this from the start, this mindset, or did it gradually grow to how you are now, like with experiencing different athletes?
Yeah, I definitely did. I came out of, I actually was a professor, an MBA professor, and I taught organizational behavior, marketing management, things like that.
That helps.
There it is.
Yeah, so I grew a company from a startup to selling it to a Fortune 50. So I came out of the corporate world, so I have a lot of background in that area. So I didn't really intend initially to build as big a team and everything as I did. I think that's kind of my business background that just, and that organizational behavior, and I enjoy building teams and like the team of coaches that we're building. So I definitely think that's a big part of how we ended up where we ended up. But certainly it's evolved. And, COVID gave us some opportunities to evolve. I mean, there's been so many, bumps and things along the way that have allowed us to step back and go, okay, how do we get better? How do we meet the needs of our customers, which is, athletes, and we do lifestyle as well, lifestyle transformation as well. So like, how do we meet the needs of these people?
What a big point of difference between me compete, me coach, me lift, me coach. Here's diet, eat chicken. That you've got the MBA and corporate background to create this great structure, to evolve. All right, let's talk about evolution. And now you have all these coaches across the country. One in particular, let's talk about your Olympia athletes this year. I know you've got Jay Brannon.
Yes.
Who else from Fit Body Fusion is going to be on the big stage?
Yeah, so actually we just did a Road to Olympia shoot yesterday. So I had 3 of my coaches there. So Jordan was one of them, Jordan Brannon. Adair Lebret was there as well, and Ali Bathauer. So those 3 are all coaches. Amy, of course, you guys know Amy Delgado, who will be doing the Olympia battle coming up. So she is one of our coaches as well. So we have a total of 8 qualified right now.
I have a question. This is like, so you have all these great competitors. All of them are qualified to the Olympia.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not, there's going to be some competition between them, right?
Sure, of course.
Amy Lynn Delgado won the Pittsburgh Pro. She won the New York Pro. A lot of people speculating that she could be the next Olympia bikini champion.
Yes.
You got Adair, who won the Rising Phoenix.
Yes.
Now, we're off the record here. Nobody's watching this.
No one's watching.
No one's
one is
listening.
watching
yes,
this.
of course, of course.
To be the best, like Amy is one of the best in the world, and you have some of the best competitors. You're also dealing with egos, right?
Sure.
They all want to win.
Yes.
And they all want to win now, and they all want maybe, Jamie DeBernard's attention all for them, right? I mean, it can be a very complicated game. That's something that you and Kimoto suffer because you guys have a lot of top competitors, and a lot of times they want Jamie DeBernard just for them. I wouldn't want to be in your position. Explain to me how you do it.
It's challenging. I'm not going to lie. It is challenging. When it comes to Olympia week specifically, I schedule them all out in rotations. So I have 30 minutes per person, and then I start back at the beginning. And then, so this is kind of, they're rotating in. So I want to be able to give them my undivided attention and, not have a lot of craziness going on in the room. So we have like a little box set up and lights and everything in our hotel room. So they're coming back through. We're checking them between meals and making any little adjustments we need to make and that kind of thing. So, it's really doing our best to keep a nice, relaxed environment and then allow me to be able to focus on each one individually.
Now, so sorry, I have another question. For some of your top girls, going to the Olympia is their first time.
Yes.
Not for Amy Delgado.
Right.
So obviously the expectations are different.
Yes.
You've been to the Olympia, you won the USA's. She placed 6th last year, and many people would be disappointed if she placed 6th again.
So
the
would she.
expectations, the expectations are very high.
Yes.
When you're dealing, and you're a master of this, when you're dealing with the expectations, right, from a first-time Olympian to somebody who's been on that first call-out, it's a different experience you're going to have to share with them, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And a different mindset, a different kind of preparation mentally going into it, setting realistic expectations. Our focus and our goal is to put our very best on stage, of course, but then understanding that's everybody's focus and goal, and you're going to have 50, 60, however many we end up with this year, depending on, who wins what in the next little bit. So, setting those expectations and still also shooting for the stars. I mean, there's kind of a balance between those.
So, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, what is the sleep like this week of the Olympia?
What sleep? What is
yeah,
that?
what is?
I
what's
don't know
your
what that
sleep
is.
schedule like? How do you go about that? How do you handle that?
It's all about them. I mean, there was one show weekend it was actually the Masters Olympia show weekend when I had 4 in Romania. I had athletes competing in Japan at the same time, and then I had a bunch in the US. So we won Japan. We had 2 out of the top 4 in Romania, and then I had 4 of the top 5 at the other show, and I didn't sleep for 36 hours. So it's called coffee, caffeine, lots of it.
Maybe something else.
Coffee works for That's you.
Chris? So I got to ask you a final question as we wrap. It is Olympia week. By all accounts, whether a judge, a competitor and coach, you have a rich history with the sport, both as an Olympia competitor and now as a coach with these, I hate to call them our babies, but they know how to,
Yeah.
What does the Olympia mean to you?
I mean, it's the pinnacle. I mean, it's definitely like you feel the tension rising as we get closer and closer, and everything else in life goes to the back burner. I'm like, call me after the Olympia. Let's talk after the Olympia. I mean, obviously it's the pinnacle. It's what everybody works so hard for from day one. Is to step on stage. And I remember my first time stepping on the Olympia stage and just like what it felt like. Well, at prejudging, I don't remember anything because I completely blacked out.
Total blur.
But on the night show, like stepping on that stage and just having that whole experience and like how much it meant to me was
So are you
amazing.
like celebrating with someone in Japan, someone in Romania?
Yeah.
Are you doing? Is there a celebration there, or are you keeping it till the end of the Olympia where you can just let it all hang out?
Oh no, you got to celebrate each win along
Each
the way. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to celebrate the milestones along the way.
And then there's ones who don't place where you want them to place, and then there's just this seesaw of emotions the whole week.
That is the truth, because I mean, at every show, at every pro show or every show period we come to, like not everybody, there's only one person that gets to win. So if you have more than one, there's going to be someone who's going to be, disappointed. So.
Jamie DeBernard, we thank you for joining us today. And you bring your athletes to the shows, but so many of the shows I MC, I see the FBF logo. You are a proud sponsor of these shows and fostering the sport, and we thank you for that. Just continuing to grow the sport that we all love. Good luck at this year's Olympia for all your athletes.
Thank you.
She is truly one of the greatest coaches in bodybuilding. And I mean, I believe that if you want to get started in this sport, you should definitely reach out to some of the top coaches. Jamie DeBernard is one of them, Hani Rambod, Kim Odo, George Farah. I mean, those are the true masters of the craft.
Well, Tara Kilgindi, the real deal Chris Cormier.
That's what's up.
That is what's up. Folks, like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends. As always, we really appreciate having you. And you know what week it is. It's Olympia week. If you're not going to be there live, OlympiaProductions.com. Get the pay-per-view. Don't miss a minute of the action. We'll see you on the next Primetime Muscle.